to a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Office of Addictive Disorders to recognize National Alcohol and Drug Addiction Recovery Month.
Okay, I so move from. He was legal.
Can't get a second.
That's all right. Come in.
Just a second. Mr. Lawson just took the break.
Oh. Yeah, I'm see why we.
Should be replaced.
Charles,
Yeah, why we waiting on a second? I would like, we need to second this, these two, it's gonna be in finance. Pay matrix, matrix for the fire department, and another one is,
Second.
Okay.
second. They be in your committee.
Land trust,
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be in your committee, huh?
Okay.
and the other one is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Office of Addictive Disorders to recognize National Alcohol and Drug Addiction Recovery Month.
In that part.
A second.
Okay.
Okay.
We have two others. The next one is the ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with NASA Engineering Architecture.
Who?
You understand how many positive things are happening, but they won't make the news.
I won't make that one.
And the last one is ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with Thornton Musa.
Like the new fact sheets, by the way.
Second.
Moving the positive stuff too quickly, Mr.
That's
Lawson.
right. A resolution noting considerations and support for the expansion of Fort Polk and requesting support of the Louisiana Congressional Delegation. I move.
Second.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
This is resolution.
Go directly into the meeting item number one is to hear from the finance director concerning the fiscal status of the city of Alexandria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You should all have a copy of the financial status report. And I'll go through it briefly. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me and ask those anytime.
Okay.
On page 2 is a recap of sales tax collections. And the first column is the first quarter of the current fiscal year. The second column is the first quarter of last fiscal year. You can see that the city, 2.5-cent city sales tax collections are have leveled out and are only 0.4% higher than they were for the same period last year. The parish-wide sales tax that we share in for the first quarter is up 3.16% over last year. Total of all sales taxes is up 0.91%. So while sales tax revenue is leveling out, it is at least holding and not going downward. Any questions on sales tax revenue? Page 3 is a recap of all revenues in the general fund. The third column over is the first quarter of this fiscal year is $11,794,229 compared to $12,614,207 last year for the same period. There was a $1 million item in this quarter last year with Rapides Regional and the 3rd Street. And that, if you take that item out, the periods are almost the same. I mean, it's very, very close. So revenue overall is stable in the general fund. Any questions? If not, we'll move to page 4 and 5, which lists the expenses in the general fund. The third and fourth column, again, are the comparisons of the current fiscal year, first quarter, to the last fiscal year, first quarter. Total expenses on page 5, this fiscal year are $11,613,826, compared with $11,426,046 last fiscal year. So once again, almost the same. And the line below that, below total expenditures, shows a surplus for the first quarter of this fiscal year of $180,403. So just about balanced for the first quarter, and added $180,000 to fund balance. Any questions? Page 6 is just another recap of the sales tax fund, which collects the sales tax and then remits them to the general fund, so those numbers will be the same as the sales tax items we already discussed. Page 7 is the risk management fund, which takes care of the general liability claims. The middle of the page, total expenses is $1,356,544 for the first quarter, compared with $1,159,000 for the same period last year. So claims are up about $220,000 this year over the same period last year. Fund balance in that fund is $5,016,444.
Okay.
Page 8 is a recap of the claims detail. And from that, you can see that general fund shows where the claims are up, and in that area, auto claims is where we had a large increase. And I'm not sure of the detail
I'd like to get the
what
details
makes up
of
that. Well, we can get
It's
that.
one big one, not a whole lot of little ones, you know?
Yes, sir.
That is a spike there.
We'll get that information to the council. Page 9 is the Employee Benefits Fund, which accounts for the health insurance and other employee benefits that we provide. Claims are basically the same as they were for this period last year, only about $2,000 out of $1,050,000 difference between the 2 years. And fund balance in the Employee Benefits Fund is $3,029,047.
Okay.
Page 11 is the Utility Fund revenue section. And I'd like to note the $27,488,000 is the first quarter revenue for all the utility departments, compared with $25.5 million for the same period last year.
Why the investment income down $40,000?
Just a change in the cash position in that fund.
Changing the what?
Cash, invested cash in that fund. And you'll notice when we get a little further that the net profit in the utility fund is very low, so a lot of times we have to pay out from cash reserves to cover expenses, and then by the end of the year, everything is okay. Any question on revenue, the revenue section?
Well, next.
Page 12 and 13 recap the expenses in the utility fund. In the middle of page 12, you'll see fuel costs.
I was going to ask you to focus on that, yeah.
Fuel purchases in the electric department. And while it may seem like a lot, those costs are up $500,000 over the first quarter last year. But that's a mild increase over what we've seen in the past, with $13.7 million for the first quarter this year compared with $13.2 million for the first quarter last fiscal year.
And you're kind of leveling right now?
Yes, it is. In fact, fuel cost is down this month again.
What about usage?
I don't know the consumption numbers yet. Also, on the gas, in the middle of the page, I'd like to make a point about that. Gas purchases, fuel purchases are up about $500,000, which is a lot for the gas department. However, with the addition of some new large customers, including Union Tank Car, that doesn't mean that the same people are paying for more gas. There's additional consumption to account for that.
It's a good number to have right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And on page 13, the total expenses for the utility department are $26,470,000 compared with $25,168,000 for the previous fiscal year. And the surplus for the first quarter in the utility fund is $1,017,390. Now, while you would think that means we're going to make $4 million for the year, the utility fund has not made $4 million for the year. And it just depends on timing of some payments like our bond interest payments and things like that. So that number is not going to...
Misleading a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a timing thing. And as we give these reports every quarter, you'll see that. The sanitation fund on page 14 shows revenue at $1,278,000 compared with $1,500,000 in the previous year. But the line charges for services is the amount that we bill our customers, and that's $981,000 compared to $932,000. The internal service interfund line is what gets transferred from general fund to cover additional expenses. So customer revenue is fairly level. Total expenses, $1,114,000 and $1,058,000 for the previous year, and surplus in the sanitation fund is $164,096. But keep in mind that that's after a $300,000 transfer from the general fund.
Okay.
Any questions? Page 15 is the zoo fund. Total revenue, $550,000. Total expenses, $546,000 for net surplus of $4,663. And that, once again, is after a large transfer from the general fund. Golf course, $271,000 in revenue and $202,000 in expenses for a net surplus of $68,883. That's after a transfer of $57,000. So the golf course was profitable by $11,000 on its own for the first quarter.
And you'd argue this is probably the better time of the year to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
It's
say.
not gonna trend, that's any part. Okay.
Right. And we'll see that develop as the quarterly reports go on. Municipal Transit Fund, revenue $609,000, expenses $668,000, for a deficit of $58,590. Any questions on any of those?
Okay.
The last thing that I'd like to go over, page 18, is the overtime management report. The first column is what we budgeted for the year for each department. The second column is what's been expended year to date. So that's an annual budget and then 3 months of expense. The next column is the amount over or under budget, and then percent of budget that's been expended so far in the first quarter.
Counting leading the chart, huh?
Yeah. We don't have much overtime in the accounting department, but some of these departments have a lot of overtime that's being spent. It has been spent in the first quarter, including, as you can see, the streets department, recreation department, and a few others. And some of that's due to what we talked about earlier with the personnel issues, you know, the existing people working more overtime. So
think it may be helpful if we get a study and look at the overtime as compared to the positions that are unfilled. It also may justify whether there's a need for additional personnel, either maybe restructuring in some way or another. But I'd like to see at another date a comparison of the overtime versus how many unfilled positions in that particular department.
And I can definitely present you with that report. We've done some investigation into some of these that have large amounts of overtime. And I know in one particular case, I think it's the streets department, the amount of attrition from unfilled positions is almost within a couple $1,000s equal to the amount of overtime that's been spent. So in some cases, while it looks like the number is way out of line, it's really not.
A difference. Okay.
So, any other questions?
Why are we not budgeting anything for public works in overtime?
Well, that's Public Works admin. You'll see streets, central
okay.
facility,
Okay.
all those other departments are listed separately. We probably need to add that word.
Makes sense.
Hey, on our tax base, I know we make it up for that now. Projection.
Tax revenue?
Yeah, we ever think, I know some of it was, we were getting high, and we ever think it was projection on flat now.
We've had, well, I mean, I don't know that I can predict or would venture to what the future, the next few months are gonna bring, but the past several months sales tax revenue has been very flat, either part of a percent below the same period for the previous year or a fraction of a percent higher than the same period in the previous year. But our budgeting for this year was conservative with that in mind because we started to see that trend before we prepared this year's budget. So if we hold to our budgeted numbers on expenses and revenues, and like I mentioned earlier, revenue is a little bit over, but slightly over budget, what we budgeted, which it should be, then we'll be okay.
But it's not the surge that we saw in previous years with the union tank cars coming online.
Definitely, it's not.
One more question. I'd like from the mayor and the finance, I would like to see, I know we were talking about employment and, the number of employees that we have. What could we do on, I know we got like 8 or 9 positions in our light department, where we dealing with the line and compared to, I think we supposed to have done the study, I don't know when it was gonna come in, about when we gonna raise up, because we way below CLECO, we can't hire anybody.
Yes.
I know y'all was talking today.
That's coming with-
I mean, we, I want to talk about legal, what can we do legally is what, we need to raise where we can get these people, because we're gonna be in a predicament if we get a storm or something, we ain't short.
Well,
Everybody just died.
Marcus told me that this morning, Charles, and it does concern me.
And I'm saying legally, if we get a bad storm in the city or something, we on our line, we short. We need to raise those. We've been sitting here waiting on for them to bring that. We either need to go with the, whatever part of that salary part, we need to adopt that, and whatever they waiting on the other part, but on the stream of emergency, we're gonna be in trouble.
We considered this morning, Mr. Cannella addressing that, Mr. Smith, to the council as a, not emergency, but a need today. And we need to talk to Mr. Raj about it to see what kind of things that we might can look at. I know that all takes time, but some of that stuff has to go to in front of the commission. We are aware, it's a good point that you brought up. We know that we're short there, and we were hoping to wait on pay in class for everything, and that's why it's so critical that that happens now, so we can establish a baseline
We need to
for.
find how we can speed it up and, address those parts, the budget of what we need to do, because, the citizens not gonna understand.
I'll talk to Mr. Cannella today, again, Mr. Smith. I understand your concern. I'll talk to
Bring
him
us a
today
report,
again.
whatever we need to do.
All right, thank you.
Anything else need to come before the finance committee meeting? Are you complete with your?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's approaching 5 o'clock, Mr. President, nothing else. But,
You must have met with Marcus. Marcus, you meet with Charles?
Okay, City Council meeting will come to order. It's Tuesday, September 11, 2007. Have the invocation by Mr. Smith and the pledge by Mr. Marshall.
Please bow your heads and from a moment of silent prayer, we remember this day. And the ones that lost their lives. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this afternoon. We want you to continue to bless us and keep us and lead and guide us in this world. Again, we want to thank you for being so good, being so kind. Thank you for walking with us today. Thank you for our health and strength. Our Heavenly Father, we want to remember the ones that lost their lives on this day. Our Heavenly Father, remember our families. Let them know that you're God and you're able to keep them from falling. Our Heavenly Father, bless this city. Give us the wisdom and knowledge to carry on this meeting the way that you see fit. These blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We go to roll call, Ms. Fields.
Mr. Marshall.
President.
Mr. Fowler.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
President.
Mr. Lawson.
Absolutely.
Mr. Silver.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Hobbs.
Here. Okay, we go to E, the consent calendar.
4 to Public Works, 5 to Public Works.
Huh?
Yeah, 5 to Public Works. 10, I think, was delayed
Delayed.
4 weeks.
Right.
And anybody else has anything?
What'd you do with go to Public Works?
4 to Public Works. You want 6 to go to Public Works?
Yeah.
Send it. Just a servitude. That's fine.
Sure, let's send 4 to community.
Both of them.
But whatever, if you rather have that, I just thought Public Works, it doesn't make me any difference, just need to be looked at.
Community development.
In fact, both of them, 4 and 5.
It doesn't make me any difference.
Okay. I so move.
A second.
Moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Lawson. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll now go to F, financial report.
Number 16, to hear from the Director of Finance concerning the fiscal status of the City of Alexandria.
I so move.
Moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion.
Item 16 was heard in the Finance Committee, came out with a very favorable report. I want to commend the administration and Finance Director for a great presentation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Go to G, ordinance for final adoption, subject to public hearing.
Number 17, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bids submitted for Henson Bayou Drainage Improvements Part B, Poplar Street outfall.
Second.
For Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Smith. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Number 18, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for operating supplies for the electric distribution department.
Moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Number 19, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for operating supplies for the wastewater department.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Smith. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Number 20, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for sulfuric dioxide for the wastewater department.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Smith. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Number 21, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the low bid submitted for 2 mobile fuel trailers for the water department. Administration requests rejection of bids and re-advertise.
Move to reject. Second.
Moved by Ms. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall to reject the bids and re-advertise. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
22, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a sewer servitude agreement for the acquisition of a 20-foot wide permanent sewer utility servitude in connection with Highway 28 West Sewer Expansion Project.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Marshall. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
23, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the subdivision plat for Alexandria Industrial Park, third filing, tracks B1, C, and D.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
24, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the subdivision plat for Bevard Court subdivision located in the Lake District area on Provine Place.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
25, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a written cooperative endeavor agreement with the Arts Council to organize, encourage, and assist in the development of the arts and serve as an overall support agency to local arts groups and organizations that provide quality arts and cultural programs within the city.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
26, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a written cooperative endeavor agreement with the Alexandria Historical and Genealogical Library and Museum to preserve and protect things historical and genealogical for the enlightenment and education of the citizens of Alexandria.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Marshall, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
27, to consider final adoption of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with EE Consultants to provide electrical engineering services.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
28, to consider final adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 197-2007 to properly identify the party in receipt of a grant for the sewer system upgrade for Grundy Cooper subdivision.
Excuse me, you said 197? I think it's 196.
196-2007.
Moved by Mr.
second.
Silver, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
29, to consider final adoption of an ordinance rezoning a portion of Yorktown Medical and Business Park from C2 General Commercial to PD Planned Development, specifically DUC Diverse Use Corridor with land uses from SF3 Single Family High Density and C2 General Commercial exempting alcohol sales.
Second.
Lawson, second.
Lawson, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Item number 30 is delayed.
I'd like to make a motion that we afford the opportunity to the administration to go out for RFQs, RFPs for the disparity study, and I'd like to offer that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay. Been moved by Mr. Lawson, second by Mr. Fowler to go out to allow the administration to go out for RFQs or Ps. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
We go to H, committees.
Finance Committee, Mr. Lawson.
I think I had
Public
yeah.
Works, Mr. Silver.
Oh, you had two of them?
Great.
Myron had,
No.
I think he picked them all up.
Finance had nothing.
have no fourth.
Finance didn't have anything. Huh? Oh, that was in legal. Legal, no, Public Works, Mr. Silver.
Okay, I have a couple. An ordinance authorizing a contract between Louisiana Wetlands LLC and the City of Alexandria for Versailles Boulevard Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Second.
Sitting there,
Wait just a second.
Back to public works.
Secondly, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement for professional services with Christopher H. Williams.
Back to legal.
Second. That one go legal.
Right.
third has been scribbled around, but it says an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter an intergovernmental agreement with Red River, Chapel Bayou Bluff, Levee Board, and the Rapides Parish Police Jury
To
obtain, you got scribbling, I don't know what the hell that says.
Levy certification.
We're gonna start doing a 5-second delay here.
What is this for?
Levy certification.
levy certification.
I'll move.
Okay, I don't know, but we're seconding. Okay.
Send it to public order.
Delay the Super Bowl down to council meetings, 5-second delay.
Just say anything, I'll move.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter an intergovernmental agreement with the Rapides Parish Communications District.
Back to Public Works.
We said in committee some.
And another one, the final one, is the ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter an intergovernmental agreement with Rapides Parish Police Jury to allow use of tower space by Alexandria Police Department.
Second.
That's all we have.
Back to Public Works. Got it.
It's up at the end.
Legal Committee, Mr. Smith.
Okay, I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a written covenant endeavor agreement with the state of Louisiana through the region 6 Office of Addictive Disorder to recognize National Alcoholic Drug Addiction Recovery Month with a public event to include a walk-in, run, recreation activity, a recovery meeting, and a recovery dance on September 29th, 2007. Move for introduction.
I guess back to legal.
Ordinance authorizing new pay metrics for the Alexandria Fire Department employees. I think that need to go to finance. Yeah, I go to finance. Huh? That ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional service agreement with Thornton, Musso, and Belima. Inc. Huh? Belima? Oh, Belima. That's an introduction for let's go to. Okay, and the ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional service agreement with NASA Engineer and Tech and LLC.
Miss.
Huh?
Okay.
Y'all can put that in public works if y'all want.
Send it down. What is it?
A resolution noting consideration and support for the expansion of Fort Polk and requesting support of the Louisiana Congressional Delegation. This is a resolution. I so move.
Second.
Okay,
Moved by Mr. Yeah. It's been moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Utility Committee, Mr. Fowler.
I don't have any report, but I would like, just take a minute or two for, maybe the mayor or Kay or one that went out to some of the ones that went out to the port today, just give us a little description of that generator that's been so much talk about that's come in.
The generator has been received at the Port of Alexandria via river. It will be offloaded sometime tomorrow and make it down the road on the crawler we described with all those different wheels to displace the weight. It'll make it to the hub, or the spur, excuse me, that's been redone. So the citizens, again, have received a $300,000 gimme, as we described it today on the radio, in the form of an upgraded spur at the end of the road. Then it'll travel by rail to Clico. So at the point that we make it there and the company Biggie moves it onto that, it will now be in their hands. So just to highlight it, I guess, Mr. Fowler, for people to appreciate it, you're talking about something that only happened a few weeks ago in the city. The Port Authority, through Mr. Marzullo, John Marzullo is the director there, and then several companies, Clico, Hitachi International, Biggie, which is a transport company, a local, not a local company, but another company that refurbished the actual spur itself. Union Pacific, and Shaw, the Shaw Group, all worked together to get this done. So I think it really shows Alexandria as a can-do place to be able to turn that around. We appreciate all of your help and trust in allowing us the latitude in the resolutions that you passed and ultimately in the ordinance to get that done. It makes us all look good. I was asked by one of the news folks today what it really means, and it's twofold. You've got now an upgrade that is direct money that we have in the form of $300,000 in value, but you also have this attitude that it shows of us being able to do things. I guess I shouldn't say two things, three things. You've now got CLECO with an item, or about to have an item, that ultimately will translate to savings for our citizens as we try to move along with that company off of our total dependence, or a lot of dependence on just natural gas as a fuel choice, and move to other solid fuel choices that their new plant will have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Community Development, Mr. Marshall.
No report.
Personnel, Mr. Johnson.
No report.
Public Safety, Mr. Marshall.
We need some more time for next meeting. Yeah. At this time, Mayor, I'd like to commend Ms. Gail Jackson and folks down at the customer service,
Thank you.
along with our finance director, for doing such a good job. And David, I know I call you guys a lot. I have a lot of constituents calling me with problems that they can't. Sometimes payday is tomorrow, and the utilities about to be cut off.
You about to get a lot more this evening, Cole.
Oh, yeah. But the thing about it is the cooperation.
449-6471.
But the cooperation that David Crutchfield and Ms. Gail Jackson and her people are giving the public now, and I can remember a time when it wasn't that much cooperation. We were receiving a lot of complaints at one time. And when people are doing something good, we need to recognize the good as well as the bad. And I want to recognize Mr. Crutchfield and his staff down there for doing a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. And I'll definitely pass that along to Ms. Jackson and her staff. They do an excellent job and do their best to work with people. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Actually, a quick question. I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say they'll be happy to hear that. As you might imagine, they don't deal with people when they're at their happiest, when they're coming to see them at the utilities
They don't
office.
come in and exchange
Right.
pleasantries.
Yeah, they're not bringing them in a gift exchange or anything. So
Where are we
thank you.
on the building that we're exchanging? It's not really equal exchange, it's not proper word with the police bureau. Is that moving along?
Probably the process of the legal department.
Can we talk about that at the next meeting?
We'll talk about that later. I would like to get an update on the move, because I know we took a lot of heat in keeping customer service downtown. I'd like to see, because they've been there long enough, as to whether that was a prudent move or not. Maybe get us an update on how it's progressing, that move over there. That's a lady interview on the exchange, man.
Yes, yes. That's it.
A&E Review, Mr. Fowler.
Report.
Economic Development, Mr. Lawson.
No report.
I got one item I need to add to the agenda. I'd like to make a motion, second, to add this to the agenda.
Read what it is for you. You're lazy.
I'm gonna get Elson and Lou Howard to read. Okay, this is a resolution authorizing advertising for bid for odor emission reduction project at the Alexandria wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
I wanna add this.
Lawson, second by, Mr. Johnson.
It's finally here, Lou.
We talked about it at staff, Lou. We talked about it a lot this
We get
Monday.
an invitation to barbecue now.
You need to-
It's an expensive odor emissions process, I can promise you.
appreciate it, the thing is appreciated.
Come on.
Nobody should have to go. Everybody should have to.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Vote on it.
Okay, now you vote
The mo-
again.
yeah, vote on the resolution.
Need
I move on the motion added to them.
Moved by Mr. Lawson, second by Mr. Fowler. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Well,
You may want to explain what it was.
I'd like to explain, Marcus, you wanna? Let Marcus come up.
I need that back sheet.
The price on here, Lou, is,
The price will catch your breath, Mr. Smith, but so will the odors, and
I
nobody should
understand,
have
but
to
I'm
live
just
with
saying,
that.
this,
Next time I smell the odor, I'm going to your house barbecue.
The wastewater department and our consultant that we selected has worked very hard to have this project on time, on schedule, as far as the design part. There are some special equipment, air scrubbers and different things that's going to be utilized that have to be manufactured. So it's not going to be in by December. They have to manufacture those parts, so there's could be as much as 6 to 8 month delay in just building some of the equipment necessary for the project. But we're anticipating and hoping that the project will be complete by next summer. But hopefully, we'll receive qualified bids, and we won't have to re-advertise for bids again. But we're pleased to announce that this project is, like I said, on time and ready for advertisement.
And explain again so everyone understands what it's going to do.
It is an odor emissions reduction project, not elimination.
You saw the Fred Sanford show. Let me state, it's going to stop the smell.
It's gonna reduce the emissions.
That's right.
It's going to
So
reduce
make
the
us-
smell.
And this is mainly at the headworks of the plant where most of the odor problems occur. It's not
sewer
necessary, what's that? At the
gonna
very
reduce the smell of
beginning
sewer.
of, that's right, at the very beginning of the plant. It's gonna cover that section and force that air through some air scrubbers and different carbon biological process. And then when it comes out the other end of the mechanical device, it should be more pleasant.
Come out as Chanel number 5.
For another $100,000, it might be that in.
I just appreciate Harry making a nice comment. I like that.
It's kind of scared me. with
May
the
be one of
smell.
his best ones right there.
we had asked the mayor and Ms. Jennings to set up the meeting on the disadvantaged business, either the 17th or 18th. We're gonna let everybody know. Mayor, you wanna just tell them just a little brief about?
Sure. We, I guess before everybody got here and for the benefit of the public watching, we're going to have a meeting on the small and emerging business program for minorities and women. It's going to be a program about how to better equip yourselves as citizens who do business here and learn the process of doing business with the city. There are numerous ways that you can increase your chances of getting awarded things with the city, and we're going to have a program that we start educating the public about that process. There's an accountability piece, there's an affidavit program. For those folks who are going to be interested in this, we're very proud of it, but you'll have to provide certain information about your company. You'll have to provide certain income information. You'll even have to provide, at some points, information about taxes and those kind of things to ensure eligibility and continued eligibility. But we're going to be having that, what were the 2 dates you wanted us to do at the
I
7th?
say it'll be either 17 or 18 when you all set it
Okay.
up. We'll provide
We'll probably
lunch
do
and
it here
sandwich.
at Convention Hall and City Hall, and we'll start to get the public into this process to see those things that we can do. We're also going to have a disparity study that'll start. For those of you who are interested in this, the disparity study is going to tell us where we are as a city in terms of our minority and women-owned business. And this is going to be a process for all of us to go through together. It's going to require education. It's going to require working together. It's going to require thinking about what's best for our whole community and not just parts. And it's going to require us to really join together and have an honest and frank discussion about our community. And I think that's something that we can all be proud that we have here. And that's not, I guess everybody in the world can't say that. And so I hope that we will all be able to join together and do that. This can be a very uniting process for everybody. There's going to be naysayers, believe me. There's going to be challenges to it. So we'll have to all meet those things together. Thank you.
And another thing I'd like to ask the ones that's on legal, if what all the requests we had, if we could start about 11 o'clock. And it's gonna be with the legal, being with the legal committee. It'd be all right for you all to meet, but we'll come and start early and handle these items that we have to go on, you know, the agenda for the next.
You want to open an actual session of
Yeah,
the
but I
committee.
got some
Okay.
things I want to discuss. I won't be here that next week. I've been invited by the Children Defense Fund to Washington D.C. and to serve on a panel at Howard University on it's the Cradle to Prison pipeline, and they got a discussion on, you know, dealing with these kids from small and growing up, and it's going to be a discussion for 2 days, and I've been invited to serve on that panel. And
He's bringing his ordinance also
No.
like a Lawrence Ross.
well, I've been invited, and one good thing about it is they're gonna pay my way. They're gonna pay my airfare, and they're gonna pay my hotel, and all they have to do is cover the rest. And you know, and I think it would bring some good information. I gave. I talked to I talked to Kay about it, and I talked to Vaughn. I wish we could get someone else to go up because it's going to be a very interesting study about dealing with these young people and how we can prevent them from going to prison. And these different programs, because the National League of Cities is moving into, they're adopting schools, and they're moving into how they can help our community. So I would like to do everything that whatever day we set up, 17 or 18.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Vote for adjournment. A second.